Hello, this is Mark BH70, and this is Mark. It's November 5th, or it's 2010. Say 2010 first to get the year in there. 2010, November 5th, Friday. And thank you for listening. I don't know where this stuff goes. YouTube tells me people are viewing my stuff, and I think people do that a lot with, a scientist comes out and they say, well, I'm a scientist. I've said this stuff before. I know people don't like it sometimes. A scientist comes out and says, well, this, that, or the other. And you say, well, I'm not saying people don't look into it. I'm not saying they just say, well, you should take it at face value. Try to get to something that may not be as much of an issue that makes people upset and mad, but I think this is one of them. But at least it's not directly tied into religion. There were some articles in the newspaper. I mean, you can get online newspaper, and I got it in my local newspaper. Yes, the scientists come out and say global warming is a reality. Now we have to completely change our lives, and I think, I honestly think, and this might bother people and upset people too. But I honestly think people don't realize when you're watching TV how much, you really can't see all this going on. It's a great production with symbols or designs and presentations, and they get one side an opposing side, and the side they want to lose, maybe make it weak, and they throw in some stuff that makes it look like they're trying to defend their side, and they're not really, and they want you to see something else. Or they'll take a side that they want you to take, and they'll get somebody side that they don't want you to take, and somebody, a man or a woman, which is whomever, will get on there and totally annihilate. They do this with so-called left and right politics. I can look at leftist politics. For example, Keith Overman, who people who know them, who accused George Bush, and say, well, while I can say, well, I don't agree with left politics or I don't agree with right politics, what Keith Overman has done sometimes is he will appeal to his supposedly leftist audience. So you're dividing the nation. It's just like what happens with religion. And you get your preachers up there. And Keith Overman said some things which, if people on the right side of the political spectrum would have really caught on to and gotten past, the fact that he dresses in a way that's, like the way that leftists identify with. Keith Overman has said something, at least something I can remember, and something, and I think probably other things that are really right politics, but the so-called left eats it up and they agree with it. You can have Rush Limbaugh. People that are supposedly on the right, are all for Rush Limbaugh. I don't know if people around the world know Keith Overman and Rush Limbaugh. in some ways, because of the way the United States is, it's weird. We export stuff new. We export programs and really don't import them. It's a little bit closed circuit. But I've heard Rush Limbaugh say stuff, and I think, well, that's not really on the right. And where was I going with this? But with global warming, that's what I was getting back to. They say, well, this is science, and we have to deal with it now. They always like to say it's undeniable, and yet the newspapers come out with articles saying, well, they're actually. And it was a leak. People would have never gotten the information if it weren't a leak. But it further divides things, because now we've got both sides, just like we've got two parties. We've got a right and a left. And I have no shame in saying that when I voted, I don't think I'll be doing much voting in the future, but when I voted a while back, when it came to local politics, I predominantly voted Democrat, which is considered leftist, because I liked the policies, I liked the policies at least better. I thought the policies were, some of what they did was good. And I looked at the Republican side, which is supposed to be conservative, and I saw that the Democrats, it just happened that way. The local Democrats were far more conservative than the Republicans, which for somebody that's not a moderate, the idea that you would have voted for what's considered the left, or the idea that you would have voted for what's considered the right. People don't understand that. And my politics really come down to what I believe is best for people. What I believe is best for the people of the country, and best for the people of the world. But you've got global warming, and it splits right down the middle. And the idea, I think, you had Catholic, I think that maybe the Greek Orthodox and the Catholic split, and then the Lutherans split off. The idea that you have all these options and sources of information, opposing views. The idea you'll just snugly fit into one of these views. And you got with global warming, a scientist comes out and, he's supposedly has a science degree. Could be a bachelor's science degree, very well a master's science degree, very well a PhD in science. But people fail to recognize that I've come around to realizing that when it comes to world politics and interventionism, that I'm a dove when it comes to that. Because you're getting fed what people want you to believe. You're getting fed that we need to go to war. And unfortunately, the United States has been in war with Ronald Reagan, who was elected in 1980, which was 30 years ago. The next president went to war. Well, that would be Bush, and then the next president was Clinton, and he went to war. And then the next president after that was George Bush's son, the younger Bush, and he went to war. And now we have Obama, and he's going to war. I think people need to realize when you're talking about science that it's more important for people to control people than something about carbon dioxide in the air. They're not interested in saving you. Likewise in religion, they're not interested in saving you. They divide the people on religious issues. They divide the people. You've got Catholic radio, which I've found out they have Catholic radio. They may have FM Catholic radio, maybe AM Catholic radio, maybe both. I think it may have been AM radio. And you got that. They'll start with the scriptures. There are people out there. Jesus explained it. He said, he said, well, and you can see this. He said, people don't do the right thing. They're evil. And you have people pulling out the scriptures, feeding you what they want, what they want you to have. And when it comes to Jesus Christ, with the Catholic Church, it turned into ritual. I don't have any animosity towards Catholics per se. And then we got the Bible. And then it turned to the Bible. There were always people whom the Catholic Church wanted to get rid of. And when people broke away from the Catholic Church, the cry was heresy, which is, it's very contrary to what Jesus said. Jesus said, my kingdom is not of this world. He said, if my kingdom were of this world, my servants would have protected me. He said, but they didn't. Happens in our lives, where we say, well, God, why did you allow this to happen? But the focus is not the scriptures. You get to one of these, oh my goodness, Billy Graham. And some people can't even break that habit. He kept on, the Bible says this and the Bible says that. And when Paul got up to talk, if you go, and I could do a video on this too, if you go to him speaking to the Athenians, they didn't read their Bible. Paul didn't say, well, here's what the Bible says. They did, Paul preached Jesus Christ to them. Paul spoke to them about Jesus Christ. On the one hand, you've got churches with rituals, and then you got churches with Bibles, and then you got churches with Bibles and rituals. Jesus said the whole world is under the power of the evil one. So people, I'm saying people don't have Jesus Christ. So they get the Bible, and they pull out the Bible, and people, dishonest people, confused people, people saying, well, God shouldn't have done that. People who don't even know God. And the whole thing, God is out to get you. He's not out to get you. And this is running to the end. I'm a little bit brief on what I'm a little bit stuck on what I can say. But we're talking about God, knowing God. The Bible goes along with Christianity, and you can read the Bible. But we're talking about God and Jesus Christ. Thank you.